I used to think that I was chasing contentment only. Like I would just be like, what's that thing? What's the next, um, I don't know, protocol I'm going to do? What am I going to do to take care of myself so I just feel good, or whatever it might be that I was like chasing contentment, chasing. And I just think that I've just accepted the fact that that's it's not necessarily about that end destination of that feeling or whatever that might be. That I just need to get comfortable and noticing the moments that I am. I feel really good. I'm like, okay, I am low-key thriving.
Welcome to Thrivist, where we share real stories, psychology, practical wisdom, and hope. We're here to inspire you with stories of overcoming and the lessons people learn along the way. We believe in humanity, and we know that we can all build resilience and thrive. Or at least low-key thrive at best.
AudrieAna, it's great to see you. Hi.
Hi, Emily. It's good to have you back and back in Cincinnati. And I really enjoyed the podcast that you did by yourself while I was out of town. So
yes,
excited to talk about it.
Yeah, well, Amy Fox was a wonderful guest, and I am looking forward to hopefully having her back on again. Definitely, we need more, but I would love to hear your takeaways as you were listening to our conversation.
Yeah, I mean, I'm excited for the listeners to get to hear about your conversation with her and to be able to think about some things as they're preparing to listen to this conversation. You all are about to hear Emily interview Amy Fox, who is a nutritionist, and she also has had some of her own health journey in what she refers back to some difficulties with her health journey, but also a lot of growth as she has been an entrepreneur and started some businesses, and she talks about that. And I really liked that part because as an entrepreneur myself and starting a few things, it can be really tough, and
Yes.
sometimes you make a lot of mistakes. And so I'm excited for the listeners to get to experience how Amy really welcomes challenge and does not shy away from it, and it doesn't seem like it flusters her completely. In fact, one of the quotes that I loved, I wrote down, she said, "When I see problems, I see opportunities." And she talked a lot about how she welcomes those problems because she wants to try to fix them. And she doesn't let them bring her down or her vision down. And that was encouraging to me. For sure, because you can't be an entrepreneur without coming upon a lot of challenges. And you're not always trained. She talks about you're not always trained for all the things that you have to do when you run a business. You may have an expertise, but then you've got all the other things that come with running a business. And that really resonated for me.
Yeah, I love that too. What a great framework and just mindset to be in as we're just living life, whether you're a businesswoman and an entrepreneur, or you're just trying to problem solve dinner and you burnt the chicken, right? Where there's
Right.
problems, there's opportunities. So I
Right.
did. I thought that was really an amazing shift of paradigm. I also loved when she said, "When I make mistakes, I actually am thriving."
Yes, I wrote that one down too.
Yeah. So tell me your
Yes.
thoughts with that. That had a big impact with me, but I'd love to hear your thoughts, AudrieAna.
Well, one of the things we're doing in this podcast is we're asking each guest, what is thriving to you? I mean, obviously, we've got the 10 pillars of thriving of what we think currently are kind of the top 10 things that we see help somebody thrive. But we also want to learn from our guests. And so we asked them that question. And when she said that, I was like, I'm so glad we asked her about that, because she's saying, if I'm not making mistakes, I'm not thriving, which to me says I'm not exploring. I'm not being curious about life. If I'm playing it safe and not making mistakes, I'm really not challenging myself or learning something new. And I hadn't thought about thriving that way. But I really agree with that. I think part of thriving is we talk about it's gritty, it's sweaty, it's not plastic, and it's not linear. So you part of thriving is going through hard things, making mistakes, learning from those, and letting those enrich your life and cause growth rather than um, stop you in your tracks. Which even that, even if hard things stop you in your tracks, you can learn from that. So I liked that quote as well.
Yeah, I thought that was a great reminder to continue to have just a beginner's mindset in life. It's like the
Yeah.
longer you do anything, the more sometimes you think you should have it figured out. You should be delivering something at a certain level of excellence. And yet to take new ground, sometimes we know we have to do something we've never done. And when we do anything we've never done, there's often a learning curve, right? Or
Yeah.
as you said, you're making a mistake and then you're failing forward, because you're not
Right.
what you once were. So I love
Right.
that too. And that was that'll stick with me. That was a great, great paradigm shift again around thriving.
Right. Right. And to that point, I thought it was interesting that she highlighted one of the pillars that we've created, right, that we've put together. And she didn't talk about the pillars that she thought she was doing well. She said one of the most difficult pillars that you all have listed for me is letting go of the outcome. And so you can see that she really does lean into her areas of growth rather than always celebrating what she's doing well, which we need both. But I appreciated that she was saying, yeah, that's really hard for me, to let go of the outcome. But when I do, I do better, right? I'm focused on the process. So I appreciated that she already had read the 10 pillars and was talking about where she's working,
Yeah.
working on things.
Absolutely. I agree. I thought that was wonderful. And actually afterwards, AudrieAna, I kind of had a little Thrivist thought myself about that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So I've always thought about outcomes in the way of numbers, metrics, a return on an investment, reaching a goal that's written down. And I realized, again, maybe this is obvious to everyone but me right now, but I had a Thrivist thought. So it was new. But I was like, an outcome for me can just be like wanting connection with someone.
Mhm.
So the outcomes can be so different than just the data-driven outcomes we think of, and how difficult that can be to focus on what I can control in my desire for connection with another person and stay in my own, lane with that, and then just honor, anything that follows if there's disconnection. So that was a new thought for me. Thanks to Thrivist and thanks to Amy
Yeah.
Fox.
Yeah. Yeah. That's so interesting. Yeah, I really hope listeners can hear what you're saying about the outcome may not be a product or some, a number, an investment. When we talk about letting go of the outcome, we talk about, when I'm working with couples, one of them might say, I really want to convince the other of such and such and such and such. And they get so focused on convincing the other to have another baby or to move, or they get so focused on that's what I want that they miss the whole conversation. They miss the process of really understanding their partner and getting curious about where they are on that because they're so focused on the outcome, they're not really listening, right? So letting go of the outcome is really about being very, very present and in tune with what's going on. And maybe your partner doesn't want to move across the country. Maybe it means that you need to do something else. And if you're so focused on the outcome, you're going to miss a lot of important relational stuff and include someone in a decision. Um, but I think also people use let go of the outcome, like when they're training for a marathon. When they're
Totally.
if I'm training for something and I want a certain time, I get so fixated on that I don't pay attention to an injury or I don't make adjustments to my life that I need to make adjustments. So it's yeah, it can be used in a lot of different ways. And I like that she pointed to that.
Yes, I did too. Well, unless you have anything else right now, we'll just jump into this conversation with Amy Fox. And the listeners, make sure you stick around for her coupon code at the end. We have a coupon for that she offers to all Thrivist listeners to try her healthy AF snacks, which are really nutritionally dense, great snacks for this fall. So here we go.
Yeah, I thought that was so generous of her to offer that to everyone. So listen to the end to get that code, and we'll also put it in the show notes. And I think I'm looking forward to ordering some of those snacks for sure.
Are you in a season of life where you're simply showing up every day, making the next big, the next small decision, and just kind of putting one foot in front of the other? Well, if so, you're going to be glad you're here today because you're really going to be drawn in to the story with our next guest. Welcome, Amy Fox.
Hi, Emily, and hi, Thrivist listeners.
Well, you are equal parts, Amy, dynamic and authentic. And we welcome that in this space, borrowing strengths from each other and keeping it real. And I know that's one of your passions.
Yeah, I don't think I have a problem being authentic. We'll call it authentic. My family might call it something else, but yeah. And I appreciate that every time, when you share like dynamic with me, I'm like, probably a lot like other women. I'm like, who, me? Really? Like, oh, well, thank you so much for that compliment. I appreciate it.
Oh, absolutely. Well, let me share, listeners, a little of Amy's bio. Amy is a wife of nearly 25 years. She is a mom to 3 boys, and they're all getting ready as we record this to launch into college. So congrats for that. You're making it. You're making it there. But professionally, Amy is a nutritionist.
Barely.
Yeah, I hear you. She is a nutritionist and she has turned into a food entrepreneur. And she's really a trailblazer. And we're going to share some of the new ways that she is linking brain health today to our needs in this day and age. So I really appreciate that. But before starting AF Snacks and the Food and Mood Lab, she spent 20 years building and selling a consulting business before, again, starting her current initiatives at Healthy AF Snacks. Amy is also an endurance athlete. So we're going to clarify what that means too, by the way. And she loves seeing what she is capable of through hard things and hard times. So thank you so much for sharing and being here with us today, Amy.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, thank you. It just feels like a conversation with a friend. So I appreciate that.
So you are an endurance athlete. That's one of the things I wanted to pause on. What does that mean for those of us that are wondering if that is something we do on the treadmill every morning or not so much?
I think there's probably some sort of official definition somewhere. I think it might be like the like you hear about ultra marathons, you hear about these at these events that are like a 100K. They're the longer time on your feet type of events. And to be honest, it's interesting hearing you say that out loud. I would have never thought of myself that way, but a few years ago, I just had a crazy idea to try this event that is called 29029, and you climb the equivalent of Mount Everest, and in a matter of 36 hours or less. And so It's been a wild challenge that I've accomplished a few times, and it definitely I'm just super attracted to things like that, like doing the hard thing. And so that's an endurance event. Again, I'm sure there's some official definition, but I think it's about 100K or longer. And I did 4 of those. I do think, though, Emily, that I'm hanging up my hiking shoes. And I'm really proud to say that. There'd be a time that I would, in the not too distant past, have thought that was something that would make me sad. But I think I've done what I needed to do there, and I'm super okay that I'm not going to be doing an event a year or doing something like that. I'll still be active, but I think I'm okay. I'm okay hanging up the cleats, hanging up the shoes.
So in general, Amy, not just in athletics and in pushing yourself, but what would you say motivates you to do what you do today?
I think what motivates me is one, I think I love a challenge. Someone say that I'm competitive. I wouldn't consider myself that way. I just really like solving problems. And so when there's something to figure out, especially like uncharted territory, I am an entrepreneur. This is I own my second business, and I probably tried dozens of things in this second business to try to make things work. And I really enjoy solving problems, whether that's helping someone to meet their health and wellness goals, or it's figuring out, how to I start a new business that I've never done before, or help my child overcome something that they're struggling with. So I'm like super motivated when I have the inkling, like, and I start to think like, oh wow, like, can we handle that? Or what if? I think that the fire gets lit and it's hard for me to stop until it's solved. So to me, I mean, I love I when I see problems, I see opportunities, and I just love to get focused on it and solve it, whether that be personal or professional.
Yeah. Oh, that's so great. I know you said you really value as a core value growth as well. And that's
Yes,
really how we
100%.
grow, right? Is stepping into these out of our comfort zone problems in a day, whether we see them as big or little, and diving in.
Yes.
And it sounds like
Yeah.
you
I
have a
mean, I
big
know
appetite for that.
huge. I mean, I really feel like I know it's someone said this out there, not who to sure to pay credit to, but if you're not learning, you're not living. I mean, I really that's something I believe in, and it's something that to me, especially in this like second business of mine, that I really feel like I have to remind myself of this, but I know for sure, like if I'm not making mistakes, I'm not progressing. I mean, mistakes are something that happen every single day. And I have to remind myself of that because sometimes I'm like, couldn't we just take a little break from learning? But
Yeah.
really think it's a huge sign that you're evolving, you're changing, and there's progress being made. And I try to share that a lot with my kids they're older and they're all experiencing, they're experiencing a lot of ups and a lot of downs. And so they don't believe me yet about that, but
Yes.
hopefully
Yes.
I know they will. I know they will sometime. Yeah.
What would you say thriving is like for you? How do you know you're thriving?
I remember you bringing that up to me, and I think that that's a really difficult question. I do, because I believe that you don't usually know that you're thriving. And I would say I've probably answered a couple different ways. Like I um I have evolved quite a bit over the past year and a half, just due to some health issues, a lot going on in the family, and I've just learned that some of the signs that I see that I'm thriving is that one, it kind of goes back to what I said, like when I'm making mistakes, I actually think that that honestly means that I'm thriving. I know that sounds like backwards, but I don't like, I think when you are, I mean, I'll take case in point. Like, I mean, I am a nutritionist turned food entrepreneur, and I'm literally like, I'm a consumer packaged goods company. I've never done that before in at all. I mean, I was a B2B consultant. So, I mean, everything from learning what a UPC code is. I mean, once I think I have it figured out, something happens. And when that something happens, it's usually not a good thing. Or, someone calls and they say, "Oh my gosh, like the box that you just shipped to us, it's destroyed. Like all the product is ruined." I mean, that's happened. And one,
Yeah.
I'd never had experience sending my product. How do you pack that? Oh, it happens to be warm out. How do you ship with your product? So it's no longer about just making healthy recipes and making grab and go snacks. I have to figure out how do I get it there and then get it there and preserve its freshness and the packaging. So just to give you little snippets of like literally every corner that's turned, there's something that usually it is a problem. It's a situation that comes up. But every time that happens, like I have trained myself. Otherwise, I don't think that I could get up and want to keep doing this. I mean, it's a
Yes.
daily reminder and intention that, okay, well, what are we going to take from this? How do I handle this situation so that I protect my relationship with a client? And now I have a team and make sure they understand that it's no one's fault. We have to figure out how do we build systems and processes around this and move on. But to me, like the fact that that can happen and we are on to the next thing, like that to me is thriving.
I love
And
that. Yeah.
yeah, I mean, and I have to say, like personally, something cool has happened that it's so small, but it's so big. Do you know what I mean? Like
Yes,
sometimes
I
there are
do.
these small things that are really the thing. And when, I think as a mom, we want to protect our children. We're always trying to think steps ahead because we want to make sure that um, mistakes aren't made for our kids or that they're not hurt or we help to make it easier. And, you try that and inevitably things come up, right? And I found myself lately a little more consumed with all of that thinking, which can be exhausting. I have lots
Totally.
of situations that come up with kids, right? Just like us all. And there are situations that have happened, and I've caught myself where despite the pain maybe someone has been feeling, the worry about tomorrow or next semester or the next roommate, whatever it might be, I've caught myself in a moment enjoying that moment. And I've learned that, and I really work on this, but I truly feel like this is a sign that I don't know that I'd say I'm thriving, surviving and sometimes thriving. But
We
like
call this,
sometimes I catch
Amy,
myself.
we call it low-key thriving. Okay.
I love that. Low key thriving. That's perfect. I've got to make a mental note to remember that. But I've caught myself like thinking to myself, wait, I think we're all okay. Like we're okay. Like we can laugh right now and we can enjoy this moment and we might be worried again. Like just the
Yeah.
idea that the two things can coexist has
Yes.
been a sign for me that like because I don't think there's ever like long gone are the grand ideas that everything's gonna be right on the money or everything's gonna be just fine. There's always something happening because we've got just so much going on, right, with kids and family and life and business and whatever it might be. But recognizing that you can be okay in the midst of everything else. It's just coexistence of
Yes.
and learning to really appreciate the and. Like I can be worried and I can be content. Like those are radical ideas. And the idea that I think in the past when I was gonna say when I was younger, because this isn't this long that I've gotten it, but not in a while ago, but I
Sure.
used to think that I was chasing contentment only. Like I would just be like, what's that thing? What's the next, um, I don't know, protocol I'm gonna do? What am I gonna do to take care of myself so I just feel good? Or whatever it might be that I was like chasing contentment, chasing. And I just think that I've just accepted the fact that it's not necessary about that end destination of that feeling or whatever that might be, that I just need to get comfortable and noticing the moments that I am. Uh, I feel really good. I'm like, okay, I am low key thriving. So, um,
Oh, that's
yeah.
so great to hear. I think we can all relate. One of our key talking points with Thrivist is, building resilience in an unpredictable
Yeah.
world. It is unpredictable, no matter how, where your company is at, where your children are at. Our world is unpredictable. And I can relate with you where sometimes we think peace or contentment is the end game. But is
Mhm.
that an expectation that's even realistic in
It
this
isn't.
broken world,
No,
right? In
no.
our life. Yeah. So
And
I
and I
love,
I realized too that something that some of the pillars that
Yes.
I'm familiar with, but the one that's the most challenging for me, one of the most important is letting go of the outcome.
Yes.
And it's a it's a it's a daily practice, and just really reminding that myself and helping my children do that, helping my team. And I mean, like that's just to me, that is something that just need to continue to try to figure out. I was going to say
Yes.
master. I just don't think that's ever going to like, it's hard not to want that, right? It's harder to
Yes.
fixate on the outcome. But I think when you can start to do more of that, that allows you to do some of the other things like focus on gratitude, to be in the moment, to focus on what you can control, like in your health and wellness. But like releasing that outcome, I think has been really more of a really critical part of the puzzle for me.
I love that. I also love that you told me earlier, resilience and thriving for you, Amy, is not avoiding pain. That
Hmm.
is a breakthrough thought, right? Most of us are going through life, whether consciously or unconsciously, getting up every day just trying to avoid pain,
Yeah.
right? Physically, emotionally, spiritually, whatever. And so for you to kind of shed a light on that, I really appreciate your learning in that.
Yeah, and I want to really be clear about that because, you know, if you were the fly on the wall or one of the people that really had a view into some of the moments when I'm not like avoiding pain, which I just think
Yes.
is like more commonplace. Because I know I shared with you that I had a hip replacement earlier in the year, and I have some spine issues and all that. But the bottom line is, like, for quite a while, like, I was absolutely not accepting that. Like, I was really rejecting the idea and angry about it, and not handling my situation in a way that was probably the most productive and healthy for me. And I think that that's super now having a little bit of perspective. I mean, it's yeah, now having some perspective, I believe that. But I also just want to make sure, because sometimes I know that I listen to podcasts and I think about people that I listen to who might say that, right? Um,
Yes.
that's not easy, and it's not something that comes easily to me. It's not something that I lived through when I lived through this last year in particular. Like I can't say that I was really embracing that all that much. I just had an opportunity to get some time and get some distance from it and see that an experience that I could have a little bit more contentment, a little bit more patience, a little bit more if I wasn't resisting everything and just figuring out that I needed to accept some things, if that makes
Yes.
sense. But I just feel like
Absolutely.
it's important for people to know that it's completely normal to not like have some of these practices that come easily to you. I don't think it does for anybody. And we live in a world where we listen to these sound bites on podcasts, or we see these, 7-second
Yeah.
Instagram spots, and it feels like these people have it figured out. And I know that I don't. I'm just having an opportunity, I think, to talk with someone and have some good people around you that can help you through it, that anyone else listening, you'll get there too. It it's not this that isn't like a sound bite that comes easily to
Yes.
me at all. It's something that like I'm learning. I'm still learning.
Yeah, it is. It is such a process, especially when we're facing something that's painful.
Yeah.
Our natural state is denial, right? For a long
Yes.
time. Some people go to their grave with denial around major life stuff. So I appreciate you kind of transitioning us to your challenge,
Oh,
though, that you went through this year. So, like we said, an endurance athlete and as a strong woman, you went through a hip replacement. And I'd
yeah.
love to hear more. How did the symptoms come up with that? How did you?
Yeah, it's really it wasn't a clear path at all. I mean, I just last year about this time I was training for an event, and I just started to have more pain than usual. I've always had aches and pains. I mean, I'm a middle-aged mom, and
Yeah,
uh carried kids, carried bags, I probably have a lot of the wear and tear that everybody does, and just figured it was more of that. And to make a long story short, just started to, get some opinions. Like, is it that I need to stretch more? I mean, I probably was doing every single wellness thing I could think of, and it just still would just always be there. And then it started to get worse. So I started to just get some answers, and it was not this clear cut, but I am for the purposes of this podcast. So I have some spine issues going on, but I learned that I had bone on bone arthritis, and then I also had a fractured hip. So I had to get it addressed. And so that part of that.
Let me interrupt you there. So you're living life and starting the second business and really trailblazing and raising the sons. Two were still at home, and you learn you have a fractured hip.
I did. And it made sense when they said that. And I was like, oh,
whoa.
Well, I mean, it was getting things were deteriorating. Was tough for me to walk. So I was really struggling to be mobile. So I was like, something's going on here. And so after some imaging, several different types of imaging, and I finally got to the bottom of it, which was that whole process. If anyone ever has had a medical journey, I just think I had a good friend who our friends are struggling, and they're battling my good friend's battling cancer. And I was listening to them talk about how they were getting a second and a third opinion. And I just was like, wow, good for them. And then I thought to myself, maybe I should do that. I hadn't been an advocate for myself. I'm like, what great examples. And so they continue to be just great examples for us. But once I thought to myself, I'm like, oh man, I probably, because I really was just not, I didn't have a plan to resolve things. And so I was just really appreciative that our friends shared their situation with us. And I just have continued, just advocated for myself. I made sure I got a second and a third opinion quickly, and then just got things underway. And so, yeah, I mean, the recovery piece of the whole situation was honestly the hardest part, just because I still it's still a little slow going, and I think I'm just not a very good patient, because I'm not patient. I'm used to I'm used to moving a lot, literally and figuratively, and so to be slowed down was just not just a bummer, but it helped. I'm a person, for good or bad. A lot of my identity is wrapped up in being productive and achieving things that require me to physically move. And so it's also just part of some great mental health practices. And that was difficult to not have those outlets. And it just really helped me to get some clarity on other ways that I can be good to myself. Growing the Healthy AF Snacks business, it's a very physical business. I'm in a commercial kitchen, and I had been staffing up, and just through this season of my life, it required me to lean on people, and I had to find good people. I had to make sure they were trained up, and then also just kind of release some of that responsibility. So that's been really fun. It was a little hard to do that, but it's been really fun because I found some great people, and it's really helping me to sort of operationalize things and scale.
Yes. Well, that's great, but you're right. It is a physical business. You're actually, I have been to numerous markets and seen your AF snacks. So someone has to be not only making, packaging, but delivering them. And that was the entrepreneur until you were out of commission. And then you were saying, okay, let me put a team around me, and let's listen to my body more, is what I'm hearing, and accept reality, right? Which is hard
absolutely
to come into at times when our reality changes throughout life. That's hard, to get to that place. So it sounds like you've learned quite a bit from overcoming the challenge. One being putting the team around you, it sounds like.
Yes.
one, facing pain, letting that kind of transform you. Anything else that kind of you'd say, boy, I really learned this from going through this hip replacement this last year?
I think we've hit on the highlights. I mean, I can't help like put my wellness hat on because that's,
Yes,
that's part of what I do.
please. Yes.
I think it's I think we all, I know for me, I thought that I took good care of myself, and especially because I am a nutritionist and a functional food expert. So I thought I had like the eating thing kind of all buttoned up, like my nutrition and making sure that I, do what I need to do. But I think in reality, uh, I think getting, really elevating like all aspects of my nutrition as well as um, all of my mindfulness and all of the wellness that I could, because if let's face it, like I couldn't go for a walk, which a lot of us talk about as just a great stretch for so many reasons. I mean, I couldn't even like get to the mailbox for a while, and even now like it's pretty limited. So I really had to be just go all in. I mean, I thought I was before, but I raised it to a totally different level because it was the only thing that I can control. And so I think, and I'm still really practicing that, just making sure that even though I'm very mobile again, and it's easy to let work or let the demands of life take over. And I've been more committed than I have ever into making sure that I do some of the things that really take care of myself, both like body and mind. And so I think because I've experienced that, I just know that I can't take it for granted. And so for me, like that's, I think there's always room to learn more and to, um, I think can just continue to experiment with ways that you can use food as fuel to nourish, to heal. And I actually just really I have become like a huge addict to Yoga Nidra. I don't know if you know
I'm
what
not
that is.
familiar. I'm not even familiar. No.
It's amazing. It's actually just a form of yoga where it's not actually moving, it's with your mind. It's like yoga that technically puts your mind at rest, almost like a couple hours of
Meditation?
sleep would. Yeah, it's a meditation. And so I found it. There's a lot of great places. I'll share the link with you so you can share with your
Please.
listeners. It's free, and it just allows my mind to stop, and I feel so much more. I gain more patience. I gain like this extra pause in my day when I'm committed to my yoga nidra. And you can do anything, shorter ones, but I was really committed to the longer format, which are like 30 minutes. So I would do that pretty consistently, and that would just give me a hot second to uh, just recover in a given day. And because I dealt with throughout one of the lead ups to what was contributing to a lot of my pain was burnout.
Mm.
I mean, being at a computer all the time, like moving and like whether I'm doing deliveries or doing an event, like not having the right balance contributed wholeheartedly to my physical condition and just constantly pushing. And so there are various things that I did, but I felt like the yoga nidra was something that I still do that really helps me. I think just be a better mom, have a little more patience, and just feel more at ease.
The struggle is real for many of us to turn your
I
mind
know.
off, right?
I know. It is.
No
It
matter
is.
what you're used to in a day, whether you're starting a successful second business like you are, recovering from an ailment, raising teens. I
Yeah,
mean, it's just turning your mind
sure.
off is becoming more and more of a challenge. So I really
Yeah.
appreciate you illuminating that and sharing one of the tools that are helping you and how we protect that, right? To
Yeah.
have
And I sort of feel like that's what it's all about right now. It's not like it's going to change. Like we need to change. Like, and just to me, I'm sort of like on the offensive about it. Like, because it's not as though, I mean, and it's not just me. I mean, the busy syndrome and the feeling taxed and overwhelmed, it affects everyone of all ages. I mean, it's just it'll be interesting as time goes on to when we get all this perspective on the state of our world.
Yes.
But the current state is that I mean, everyone, and so what are you going to do about it? You can't,
Yes.
you have to go on, to me, I'm just on the offensive about it. And I'm help my kids do that. I mean, putting up some hard and fast boundaries, like to where we have, like, we protect our time, we slow down. And
Yes.
I really am not very good at it, but I have my weapons and I have my
Yes.
toolkit. And I used to call it toolkit. It's not about tools. Like these are weapons for us to fight this
Yes.
fight of just preserving the just our peace. And it comes with the slowdown. It comes with some solitude. It comes with the quality time. But if you think it's gonna happen, you're mistaken. Like we got to go on the offensive about it and force it with I know with myself and with my family.
For sure. I know you're speaking to all of us when you say that. So I love how you said, if we can switch now for the
Sure.
second part here of our conversation, how you thought you took good care of yourself. I think many of our listeners right now are like, okay, me too, Amy. I go to
Hmm.
Pilates or yoga and I have my water and I, get my adequate amount of sleep, where, sleep is a huge
Hmm.
part of taking care of yourself. But particularly, you've learned a lot more around nutrition and the
Hmm.
connection with food to the mood. So I would love to
Yeah.
hear a bit about, some of your greatest places of impact as you're focused on that.
Yeah, yeah, I really think that well, I'm super passionate about it because I I see when light bulbs go off with people
Yes.
that I have conversations with, and even like I know this sounds ridiculously simple, but now I share that in the form of like snacks. Like I make snacks. I love to eat. I love food, and the fact that I can make food that's healthy, that's good. And I know this sounds might sound crazy, but when I see someone try a cookie or a loaf or this, and they're like, wow, like not only that it's not just about, oh, they validate and say that it's good, but it inevitably they look at the back of the package and they start to look at the ingredients, or they think, to me, it's I love it because I think it helps people just it just opens up these ideas like, wait a minute, like could I make something like this? Why shouldn't I be making food like this? Or why shouldn't I be eating more food like this, where it can taste good and it makes me feel good? And so there's this awareness, and then this, like, I think this hope or opportunity for people. I love it. Like that's like that really is what keeps me motivated and excited to really want to continue to have all these learnings that we talked about.
I love it.
So,
Well, I have
but
purchased some of
yeah.
the AF snacks and we have really enjoyed them as a family. And
Oh,
I
great.
know
Awesome.
yeah, I see your energy and passion coming through. It's so contagious and beautiful, Amy.
Some of the strategies that work, because I'm a consumer of my own strategies. And sometimes I think, just stepping back, I think one of the most important
Yeah.
tools in all of this, and just, I think, understandings is that, good nutrition is not perfection. And I think really people sometimes think if I can't do all my meal prep, if I have a day where I've missed that healthy meal, then I'm just going to wait, or I'll throw in the towel. We'll start tomorrow. We'll start next week. And so that's just not realistic. I mean, that's just, you know, being, um, you know, accepting the idea that there's going to be meals that you're eating on the road, on the go, you don't have it planned, and you just make your next healthy choice, your next best choice. I think if more people could just understand that you don't have to be perfect, you just have, it's not about that. I think it starts to take down that wall that might be up about this being too hard, or we're going to
Yes.
wait and we're going to just start after summer. And, I think that that's not part of the recipe of success. It's just never going to be, if you're at 100% of perfection, it's not going to last anyway, because who
Yes.
could be like that, right?
Thank you.
So I think just understanding that it's like, that to me, if you have some days where they're right on the money, and you've eaten the things you wanted to eat that you think are healthy, great. And then the next day you're not, that is success. It's the
Yes.
kind of the up, down, the ebb and flow. But I
I
think just
love that.
understanding, oh, well, thanks. I mean, I think
Yeah,
that's true.
yeah, I think so much of us, like we fall into all or nothing thinking, right? And we
Yes.
think consistency is just this way. Consistency is up and down. It just is, right?
Yeah,
This is
it
back to
is.
reality. So I appreciate you illuminating that. I would love to ask you one thing about
Sure.
alcohol at midlife, if I
Yes.
can.
Yeah.
Okay. So I was sitting on the porch a couple nights ago, Amy, and I enjoyed like a glass and a half of like a sparkling rosé. And I
Yeah.
really enjoy that in the summer. And it's a social thing at times for us here in America or other parts of the world. And I woke up the next day and I felt so lethargic, Amy, and like all day I just struggled to kind of find my pacing. Is
Hmm.
that connected? Do you see alcohol with your clients connected often? Even something as like, I'm not a big drinker, but a glass and a half of rosé.
Hmm. I mean, I cannot tell you. I just had this conversation with someone I went out to dinner with on Friday, and she was like, more than one, I won't sleep, and then I'm not sleeping. So then you wake up the next morning, you have that hazy feeling, or even if you thought you slept, your sleep is just more interrupted, and it's not as deep a sleep. So you just don't feel as good. And then you feel like you have this haze or this cloud. It happens to me, it happens to a lot of women in middle age. I think a lot of it is just our bodies, probably because of the hormone fluctuations. It's harder
Yes.
for our body to process it. So it's either slower to leave the system. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why you feel that way. I mean, like, and by the way, I am occasionally a sober curious nutritionist and just person in general, but I
Yes.
also do occasionally, like, I love a glass of wine with my husband. So I'm always I've experienced exactly what you've shared, but let's not like ignore the fact that it is ethanol. It's poison, it's toxic. It doesn't matter how natural you think it is. If it's got alcohol in it, it's one of the most highly addictive substances, and it's ethanol. And so because of that, your body has to get rid of it. Like your body, when you drink any amount of alcohol, and this is how wonderful our bodies are, it realizes it, and your body is going to prioritize breaking that down, and it's going to hang out in parts of your body, and it's going to work to get out of your system. And as we age, it sometimes just takes longer. It affects us more significantly. We don't need as much to, feel that anxiety or that hangover. And
Yes.
so, I mean, it's a reality of where we are in life. And I think that for me, when I think about my healthiest times, it always involves those seasons where I've had less to drink. Because when
Yes.
I drink less, I sleep better, which means I have more energy, which means that I usually can do more in a day, whether that's working out or just I can physically accomplish more,
Yes.
mentally and physically. So I just feel better, and because of that, I also usually when I'm not drinking, I actually eat healthier. Usually when we have some wine, beer, alcohol, it usually follows some less healthy eating, or just we're a little bit more lenient with ourselves. That's just the way it is.
Totally.
So, and your skin looks more hydrated. I mean, everything feels and looks younger. But it's also for some, it's just not realistic to say you're never going to have a drink. So I'm kind of middle of the road when it comes to this. I
Yeah.
think I think you just have to realize what the cost might be for you, even if it's just a little bit that you have, and realize that there are so many great alternatives out there. I have a saying that it like really doesn't matter what's in the glass, just get a great glass. Have some seltzer, but I also realize that like, sometimes a glass of Chardonnay tastes really good. Um, so I think it's a very personalized thing. But you're 100% right. As we get older, it's harder for us to process that. And it can just hang over. And there are chemically things that are happening
Yeah.
where you in your brain, especially when you're drinking alcohol, it artificially creates these hormones that make you feel good. And then your brain has to, because everything always, your body and your brain is trying to keep things in homeostasis, keep it balanced. So because you've had some artificial happy hormones released, your brain has to match that, has to produce something to make sure that you are in balance. And that's what the down feels like when you feel like you've
Yes.
got that anxiety or feel like you have that racing mind that sometimes happens in the middle of the night. That's what's happening.
Because I
Yes.
love what you said about a gift that you learned is that taking care of yourself is not selfish. So let's
Mm.
kind of end with that. Like
Yeah.
taking care of yourself is not selfish, and that strength is not found for you in pushing, you said.
Hmm.
So, where do you find strength now today as you're recovering?
For me, I could answer that in so many different ways, but I think
Yeah.
what's most relevant for me right now um, is moving. When I can move, and I mean, I'm not talking climbing mountains. I'm just talking when I can move, and feel like I don't have a lot of pain. I feel so grateful. So what that means to me and how I really invest. I'll leave you with two things. I know we talked a little bit about nutrition. One is, um, I used to kind of balk at uh, mobility and stretching because I have a limited amount of time in a day. And if I'm going to work out, I am going to get the miles in. I'm going to put the vest on. I'm going to get the walk in. And because that feels like I'm strong, right? That
Yes.
I'm carrying the weight. I'm pushing through. I got the sweat on, or I'm just, it just feels like you've accomplished something. And getting the miles on and so that's completely different for me right now. And the fact to me, I feel strong when I make the choice that I'm going to do the strength and mobility that I need. And it was almost always something that I skipped. I would shortchange myself on that. And the reality of it is, and if your listeners are north of 35 or 40, it's all going to happen to us. We're all going to deal with bouts of soreness or just as we evolve. So put in the time now, and I really make sure that I start my day that way. And if I'm keeping it real, like I won't have a day without pain unless I do that a few times a day. So now I'm like, okay, I've realized that that's the key to me being able to move. And when I move, it makes me feel strong and I feel happier. So I have to start there, even if it means that I got to cut something else short out of my day, period. I just make sure that I get it in. So that's super important. And yeah, like I mean, if I don't do that, I start to have like nerve pain and stuff. So I like literally like I have to do it. But I think the other thing is to I'm taking the time to really occasionally make sure that I um, check my nutrition. Like I remember I shared that with you that I really thought that as a nutritionist, I was
Yeah.
practicing what I preached and walking my own walk. And I think we all can think because everyone knows the basics for good nutrition. If you don't, I mean, because I said it out loud, you'll see it on your phone. I mean, it's like eating a higher protein diet, getting some fiber in, um, having a variety of fruits and vegetables, staying hydrated. I mean, there are some essentials that we all know, right? So it's not
Yes.
about knowing that, it's about doing it, right? And so one of the simplest strategies that I share with every single client immediately when I work with them. And I just wasn't doing it myself. I took the time to actually take stock of what am I really eating in a day? And it just happens. I think if you need a place to start and you are like, okay, well, let me get my nutrition on point. take stock, get some awareness. What are you really eating in a day? Is it just 2 eggs for breakfast, which is not enough protein? Is it that you think, and any tool out there are a lot of free ones, just get a little, take some time to actually measure what you're eating in a day. I'm not a big proponent of this as a long-term thing, but more as awareness. Just, okay, well, this is where I need to, it's a data point. This is where I need to adjust. And I certainly had a lot of ahas for me. I was like, of course, I know I need to eat high protein. And yeah, when you just get a little reality check, it just gives you the data that you need to make some adjustments. So that's usually my starting place for anyone, and including myself.
Yes, awareness is huge, right? And you're
Yeah.
saying slow down enough to even get more aware of what we're putting in our bodies.
Yeah.
So I love that. Yeah. Well, thank you so much for being with us
Sure,
today.
absolutely. Yeah, thank you so
And
much for the opportunity.
I love that you are going to share with our listeners the opportunity to experience your snacks. So, yay. So, if you're out there listening
Absolutely.
and you are interested in fueling your family or yourself in just a more smart brain health way this fall, you can find Amy's snacks at healthyafsnacks.com. Is that correct?
Yes, that's correct. And I've got a coupon for your Thrivist listeners.
Yay! Thank you. That is so
Yeah.
great. Tell us a little how that can work. Yes.
Yeah, so at checkout, just put Thrivist, and you get a 20% off of your order. And if I see a Thrivist come in, I will include a little extra snack too.
Thanks for joining us at Thrivist, where talk transforms and builds resilience in an unpredictable world.